and welcome again. This is the second video in the first module of this tutorial. In this video, we are going to be looking at comments. So what are comments? What are their uses? And how do you write comments in Python? So these are the crucial things you are going to be looking at in this video. Come with me back to our Visual Studio Code to demonstrate what comment is. We are back to our VS Code, and here we meet again our first Python script. So this was our first script, and what we had here was just a print statement, hello world. So what this entire file did was just to print hello world to the screen. We are going to be looking at comment. What I'm going to do right now is that I'm going to move this line of code to the second line, and I'm going to move my cursor to the top of the file by using the arrow key, and I'm going to start this line with the hash character, and I'm going to type in something like this is a print statement, and I'm going to save it. And again, I'm going to run the script python hello.py, and again our file prints hello world to the screen. Now I'm going to do something else, and I'm going to move my cursor one step down, and I'm going to write in the same text that I wrote in the first line, but this time around without the hash character. So I'm going to write again, this is a print statement, and I'm going to save it, and I'm going to run the file again, python hello.py. And this time around we get an error, and the error says syntax error, invalid syntax. Did you mean n? So it's telling us that in line 2 we have a text print, and he does not understand what that print means in this context. So here in the first line we have a print, in the second line we have a print, but this print in the second line is not attributed to any particular thing, and then Python does not understand it. But then again, in the first line, the print there does not attribute to any particular thing, but Python ignores it. Now this is what we call comment. In every programming language, there is something we call comment. And a comment is simply a piece of text in a program that is structured in a way that the program ignores the piece of text. So the first and the second line, they are the same piece of text, but because I use this hash on the first line, Python ignores that particular text. Now I hope you get it. Every programming language has a way they present their own comment. For some programming languages, you can write your comment by typing in double slash at the front of your text. In some others, you use this. But in Python, if you want to make your statement or a line of text a comment in your code, you use the hash character. So as long as the hash character starts your piece of text in Python, even this particular print statement here, once I add the hash character, Python just totally ignores this print statement. So this print statement is here, and I'll also comment this out and save this file, Ctrl S. So you find out that if I run this script again, nothing happens, because Python basically ignores everything in this file. So python hello.py, and nothing happens. So even the print function, the print statement now does not print, because now it is a comment. Now that is a basic explanation of comment is. Now, what do we use comments for? Well, let's take for instance that you have a huge code base and you have a lot of lines of code, and you are assuming that the people that may have access to this file, they may not understand everything that this file is all about. So you add comments to your code to tell the persons that might have access to your file that okay, this is what this code is doing. This is the function of this code. So like I wrote initially, this is a print statement. I'm going to remove this and leave just the very first comment. This is a print statement. Add a little more text. What this line of code does is just to print hello world the screen. Not here when we wrote this code and you have access to this file, you will basically know that what this line of code does is just to print hello world to the screen. So that is one use of Python. Another use of Python is peradventure you have a piece of code that you do not want to start utilizing. Like this one, this particular line of code is a valid piece of code. But for instance, I do not want it to run. I just want Python to ignore it for the meantime. So I can comment it out, and whenever I want to make use of that particular code, I can just come and uncomment it. So that is another use of comments. So any piece of code that you want the machine or your computer or Python to ignore, you comment it out. You use the hashtag on it, and then Python ignores it. Now, you may ask me, what if I have a lot of comments I want to make? So, for instance, I want to break this particular statement into two lines. The first statement says, this is a print statement. So I'm going to hit enter so that this will be in another line. So now that this is in another line, you can see that this second line has been separated from the hashtag. So it is no longer a comment. And if I run this code, it is still going to give me errors. So what it means is that for any line of comment you write, you have to add that hashtag to it. And most of the time, it's not really convenient. So if you have a lot of lines of code that you want to write, you must add hashtags to them individually. Well, that is not so cool, because in other programming languages or in some programming languages, there are syntax for multi-line comments. For instance, in CSS, you can do something like this. This is another line, and then you close it with your star, and then another backward slash. So when you apply this kind of thing to CSS, the two lines grays out, which means the two lines becomes a comment. So as long as your texts are in between these symbols, your texts are regarded as comments. But as you can see in Python, that is not the case. Python has no official way of writing multi-line comments. So for in the case of Python, the only way to go about it is to add the hash sign or the hash character to every line of code that you want to comment. Now I'm going to give you a shortcut that will make this easy for you in case you find yourself in this situation. So what you can do if you want to write a multi-line comment, assuming I want to comment all of these lines, what I can do is to highlight all the lines that I want to comment, and I'm going to hit the control key and the back forward slash key, and that will automatically comment out the entire line for me. So if I want to uncomment them, I'm going to highlight, I'm going to hit control on my Windows or command on Mac and the forward slash key, and this uncomment the entire line for me. Now this is just one way to do it. So let's look again at what we call docstring in Python. Now, docstring is another way of writing comments in Python. Although officially they are not supposed to be comments, they are used for documentation, that is to explain a line of code, to explain a function, a class, or an entire module. Do not panic, as we are going to go into all of that in no time. So I'm going to write something here. I'm going to clear this and I'm going to write something. I am going to write, I'm going to, and I'm going to write something inside triple quotes. So I'm going to write, this is a documentation. And I'm going to close the triple quotes again. Now, what you see on the screen is called a doc string, and it is created or it is written by enclosing your piece of text in triple quotes. So you start the line or lines with triple quotes and end it with another triple quote. So assuming I want to add more lines to this, all of these are going to be enclosed in this triple quotes. So I'm going to hit my tab so that everything will be aligned properly, and I'm going to write, this is another line. So as many lines as you add into this triple quote are going to be part of this doc string. Now again, beneath this doc string, I'm going to write my print statement again. Print hello world. So under this, I'm going to write another print statement. So inside the parentheses, I'm going to write something very tricky. I'm going to write 2 underscore doc and close it with another double underscore. So I'm going to save and run this code again. Python hello.py. Well, the first statement says hello world, and the second statement says this is a documentation, this is another line. So this we started this entire file by writing a documentation. So doc is the short form of documentation, and documentations are what gives you an information about a module or a class or a function. So another name for file in Python is module. So for this particular file now, we have written a documentation for this module, that is for this file. And we are telling the users or the potential users of this file that the function of this file is, so if I want the users to know the function of this file, I might just clear this and write, this is a file that prints hello world. So and while I save and run again, Ctrl S, and I run it again, well, the text is updated. This is a file that prints hello world. So documentation is meant to use and know what the file, the class, or the module does in Python. So right now, I'm going to do something that will explain this better. Now this print is a function in Python, and it is built in. Assuming I want to know what this function print does in Python, what I'm going to do, instead of, I'm going to clear this doc here and I'm going to print something else. So the print is the function. I'm calling the function. So I'm going to write dot, and I'm going to use that flag again, double underscore doc, and then close it with double underscore, and I will save. So I'm going to clear my terminal and run the code again, python hello.py. So our first line prints hello world, and then this other print statement says print the value to a stream or to a system standard output by default. So we are going to talk about this sep end file and flush here when we are going to be talking about functions, parameters, and arguments. So let's clear our terminal. So now I hope you understand how comments and docstring works. So for instance, I want to use single line comments on each and every one of this. I can just write in my hash here, and now this particular line is grayed out, so it is a comment. It is now a comment. So for this particular line, if I want to write, if I want to use a single comment line and I just pass in this, well, that particular line has become a comment again. So I'm going to comment out this again, this line again. So let's try using the single line comment and this docstring at the same time. So I'm going to add the single line comment here to this function, and then to the pass statement, and then to the pass statement, and where we are calling the function. So we are going to comment this out. And for this one, we are going to remove this indentation. We are moving this to the beginning of the line so that we'll not run into error. So we are going to save. I'm going to run this code again, python hello.py. So now we just have one print statement. So all of this function and even the docstring here, so everything about this function now is no longer on the screen. And this line of code, this docstring, also has been overlooked by Python because it is like a comment too. Well, I believe from this video you've been able to understand how to use docstrings, how to use Python single lines, and and the shortcuts also to comment a huge block of code, or as many lines of code as you want. So this is it for this video. Thank you for watching.